Va un abrazo solidario muy fuerte para ustedes. Voy a referirme específicamente a la autenticidad del Diario Militar a la luz de los documentos del Archivo Histórico de la Policía Nacional. El 29 de mayo de 1999.
A strong hug and solidarity for you all. I will refer specifically to the authenticity of the death squad dossier in light of the documents of the National Police Historical Archive. On May 29, 1999, the National Security Archive and other U.S. human rights organizations made public the so-called document Death Squad Dossier in the city of Washington, USA. On that occasion, the expert Kate Doyle announced that the document was prepared by a parallel intelligence structure attached to the Presidential High Command known as the Archive, and assured that it is authentic despite not having signatures or stamps. Its characteristics are similar to the documents written by the Guatemalan Army. At the end of 1999, Kate Dole herself officially gave certified copies to the Guatemalan Public Prosecutor's Office and to other human rights defenders. According to the relatives of the victims, there was no doubt about the authenticity of the document. The Death Squad dossier clearly summarizes the set of methods of repression systematically used by terrorism of state in Guatemala since 1966. The collective and selective kidnapping of political opponents, interrogation and torture without limits, rape as method of subjugation to torture, the extrajudicial execution and the disappearances of the bodies together with the search for the break of the will to achieve the victims' collaboration. The Death Squad dossier is an unquestionable documented evidence of repression of the systematic application of practices typified as crimes against humanity. However, since it was made public, the reaction of active and retired senior military leaders was to deny the authentication of the Death Squad dossier, arguing that the document without letterheads and heading stamps could not be authentic. They insisted that the army could have never written such a document with those characteristics and content. Therefore, it was a falsification made with the purpose of discrediting the Guatemalan army. That denialist discourse was repeated and reinforced over the years by the Association of Military Veterans and membership, different government officials, political leaders from the right wing, business leaders, and especially the press as complicit. Over the years, this denial on the authenticity of the document was used to justify the lack of investigation by the Public Prosecutor's Office and the complete inaction of the Guatemala's justice system. However, the courage and perseverance of the victims' families and organizations which support them opened the way to truth and justice. The advances accumulated over the years before the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, and especially the sentence issued by the Inter-American Court on November 2012, constitute invaluable achievements and documents provided since 2010 by the National Police Archive, contributed in a very important way for this achievement. This contribution, which is the result of the technical and professional effort developed over several years by the women and men who worked in the National Police Archive, becomes now determinant when the intellectual and material perpetrators of all these crimes against humanity are finally being legally prosecuted. The National Police Historical Archive provided to the Human Rights Prosecutor's Office with certified copies of thousands of documents related to at least 75 people whose names and photographs appear in the death squad dossier. A very important portion of these documents are related to the context in which the different structures of the police produce these documents. We could give many examples, but I will concentrate on a few. On the documents, it is a list that corresponds to the General Coordination Fund of the National Police, containing 165 names, of which 119 match with people who are registered in the death squad dossier. A key element to understand the certainty provided by those documents offered by the Historical Archive of the National Police lies in the relationship of subordination between the police to the National Army, and in particular to military intelligence. During the most intense period of the internal armed conflict between 1975 and 1985, the position of General Director of the National Police was occupied by 5 infantry colonels active in the armed forces. Militaries who were directors of the National Police maintained a subordinate relationship to the Army High Command as contemplated on the counterinsurgency plans. In relation to police structures which play these roles, the participation of the BROE as an anti-subversive police force directly subordinated to military intelligence was decisive in the operations carried out in Guatemala City during those years. The BROE, which was the acronym of this structure, was identified under the command of Police Major Juan Francisco Cifuentes Cano, became a police unit achieving effective results in counterinsurgency operations in urban areas. For example, the legal letter from the 5th Police Station of the National Police on November 29, 1983, refers that Cifuentes Cano provided support that same day to the Presidential High Command in Zone 12, which consisted in the takeover of a house where Héctor Manuel de León Escobar or Daniel Salguero was captured. Written in the death squad dossier with both names. Another legal letter from the 5th Police Station addressed to the Director of the National Police reports the support provided to elements of the Presidential High Command in the municipality of Villanueva. This document indicates how, prior authorization of the superiority, 40 elements of the National Police provided support and perimetric security to elements of the Presidential High Command when carrying out a search in several neighborhoods in Villanueva. It also indicates addresses of houses searched and describe what was located inside of each one of them. All of these data match in dates, precise addresses, and description of the houses, and the lists of what was seized during the information that appears in the death squad dossier. In documents from the Technical Investigations Department of the National Police, this structure appears as responsible for having kidnapped Sergio Vinicio Samayoa Morales from the Roosevelt Hospital, where he had been admitted presenting gunshot wounds. It indicates kidnappers identify themselves as members of the Technical Investigations Department dressed as civilians and heavily armed. The death squad dossier states that Samayoa Morales, due to a gunshot wound on the skull, was transferred to the Roosevelt Hospital and coordinated with the Director of Intelligence for his recapture, which was effective. There is no doubt of the relationship between what the death squad dossier says and what official police documents contain. The 4th Police Station of the National Police, especially through the Blue Eagles unit, was responsible for supporting military intelligence. It is registered in the case of Maria Quirina Hermina Lopez, logged in the death squad dossier, literally reads, "After inspection was made and at 5:30 p.m., the operation began with the support of the Blues in relation to that police structure." Other documents of the National Police Historical Archive confirm the participation of members of the police unit in several operations, such as the legal letter which refers to the cleansing operation taking place from the 13th Street to Petapa Avenue in Zone 12, where Otoniel Villagran González, Gregorio Aguilar González, and José Luis Villagran Díaz were captured, as it appears in the death squad dossier. I could give hundreds of examples, but there is no doubt on the authenticity of the death squad dossier. It was proven in such a way with the information provided by these documents. To conclude, it is worth looking back at the police major Juan Francisco Cifuentes Cano, who is one of the perpetrators currently being prosecuted, because he is a character with a long criminal history who had remained in total impunity until the past May 27. The documents of the National Police Historical Archive present different responsibilities fulfilled by Cifuentes Cano since his passage through the National Police Academy and the creation under his command of the Special Operations Command COE, which practically performed as a death squad. His direct participation in several cases of the military death squad constitute only part of the broad responsibility of Cifuentes Cano in multiple crimes against humanity. I want to finish with a recognition to workers of the National Police Historical Archive who contributed to the relatives and to justice with these valuable documents. Also to the workers of the Peace Archives who published in a very timely and forceful way this information. Thank you very much.